He has been a hit so far here in Detroit. Johnny Damon continues to mash wherever he plays. Damon and his teammates hope to turn their fortunes around tonight against the pesky Minnesota Twins. It's an absolutely beautiful night for baseball here in the Motor City as we welcome you to Comerica Park. Game 2 of this 3-game set featuring the Detroit Tigers and the visiting first place Minnesota Twins. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Tigers Baseball. Mario and Pemba, Rod Allen, glad to have you with us. Game 2 of the series. Tiger Bass went cold last night with good reason. Francisco Liriano was dynamite. He gave up just 5 hits in that game last night, Rod, but 2 of those by Johnny Damon, who continues to swing the hot bats.
You know, for the better part of a couple of weeks now, Johnny Damon has been the best hitter in the American League average-wise. Also getting on base at a 500% clip, which is really, really good. Taking his walks. He's been a very nice table setter for the Tigers so far this year and pretty much giving them everything that they thought they would get out of Damon. He's also really helped out a lot of the younger players. When you start talking about guys like Austin Jackson, especially a guy that's been a leadoff hitter, he gets on base, he sets the table for Cabrera, he sets the table for Maglio. He's pretty much been a pull hitter all season long, but he continues to get on base. And if he continues to get on base, it's not that Maglio and those other two have not been hot, but Johnny Damon has been tremendous in the top of that order for the Tigers.
And we'll see if the Tigers offense can respond tonight. Now, they will face a guy who has pitched pretty well against them in his career, and that's Scott Baker. But when you delve into the numbers, 2, 3, and 4 in the Tigers lineup tonight, they've been pretty good against Baker in their careers.
Well, they know they're going to get some pitches to hit. Unlike some starters that don't really attack the middle of the order, Scott Baker's not one of those guys. He cuts from that mold of Minnesota Twins pitchers that throws lots of strikes, and because he throws so many strikes, and you've got guys that have basically been career 300 hitters their entire careers, they're going to put up some outstanding numbers as we see there.
And these 3 guys hopefully will be able to continue along that path here tonight, get the Tigers offense rolling a little bit. Now, that's the offensive story. Meanwhile, pitching-wise, Max Scherzer gets the call tonight for the Tigers. And Max, a 2.63 ERA so far, Rod. He's looked pretty good.
He's made a nice transition from the National League to the American League, which is difficult for some starting pitchers because you have the designated hitter and you have much more potent lineups in the American League. But he pretty much has done and been the most consistent starter for the Tigers this year. He's got that fastball anywhere from 91 to 92. The changeup is an exceptional pitch for him. And what I like about Scherzer is the fact that he's been changing eye levels with that fastball and then going back at the bottom of the strike zone with very good breaking balls and changeups. But this is the best offense he's seen this year by far.
All right, game 2 in the series coming up tonight. That's the story from here in Comerica Park. Right now with more in our coverage tonight, let's go to the Call Sam Studios. And here's Mickey York. And by Comcast. Call 1-800-COMCAST for TV, phone, and internet. Back here at Comerica Park tonight as we get you ready for baseball, the Tigers and the Minnesota Twins. And we have a reminder for you here this evening. If Detroit combines for 3 or more home runs in this game, make sure you bring a copy of the box score to a participating Arby's location tomorrow. Get a free small order of curly fries. You can find a copy of the box score in your local newspaper or at the Tigers page at foxsportsdetroit.com. The Tigers have taken the field on a beautiful night for baseball here in the Motor City. The Tigers trying to even up this series against the first place Minnesota Twins. And here's the Twins starting lineup presented by Honda Bloomfield tonight. Denard Span leads it off in center field. Orlando Hudson at second base. Joe Mauer last night, not so often he goes 0 for 5. That's what happened last night. Jim Thome, the DH, followed by Michael Kadire at first base. Jason Kubel is in right. It'll be Delman Young, J.J. Hardy, and Luke Hughes rounding out the order. Hughes is making his big league debut. There is the scouting report on Tigers starting pitcher Max Scherzer, presented by Ace Hardware.
It's been a seamless transition for Scherzer coming from the senior circuit over to the American League. But when you have the kind of stuff that he features, a mid-90s fastball along with a very good changeup and a slider, you'll be able to do that. This is a tough test for him. This Minnesota Twins team is playing some real good baseball, one of the hottest teams on the planet, and a key for him also getting ahead. Minnesota has 103 base on balls this year, so they've been patient. Strike one will be a key for Scherzer in the ballgame. Let's take a look at the Tigers defensively behind Scherzer in the ballgame. You've got Bosch getting another start after a couple of left-handers, which he didn't start. Jackson's in center. Ordonez is in right. Inge, Santiago, Rayburn, Cabrera round out the infield. And Alex Avila is back behind the plate catching Scherzer tonight.
So we are ready for baseball here this evening. Tigers dropped the opener last night, and as a result, the Minnesota Twins come into play in first place in the Central by 3.5 over the Tigers. Denard Span settling into the batter's box. It is a nice night for baseball, at least at this point it is. 58 degrees our game time temperature. And Max Scherzer set to go to work facing Denard Span, Orlando Hudson, and then Joe Mauer. Here's the first pitch of the ball game coming home. And it's a ball up high. 1 ball, no strikes on Denard Span. Span 1 out of 4 in the opener last night. Batting .231, off to a bit of a slow start this year. Scherzer missing low. Span with no homers, 7 RBIs. He has stolen 5 bases this season. The 2-0 pitch. There's a strike right at the knees.
Denard Span has evolved into a pretty good leadoff hitter for the Minnesota Twins. He had a .392 on base percentage last season, which ranked 4th for all leadoff hitters.
That's fouled down the first base line.
And one of the keys to be a good leadoff hitter is you can't be afraid to take a strike or two just to see some pitches very early in the ball game.
It was Span who a couple of years ago was locked into a duel with Carlos Gomez to win that center field job with the departure of Torrey Hunter to the Angels. Swing and a miss, and down he goes. And that is the first strikeout of the ball game for Max Scherzer. 1 gone.
94-mile-per-hour movement to the arm side with the fastball for Scherzer. And that's one of the things that I've liked about him is the fact that he knows that he's got some pretty good giddy-up on that fastball, so he elevates it. And lots of times he gets swings and misses.
Max was able to strike out 7 Texas Rangers in his last start. Picked up a no decision in a 5-4 Tigers loss in that game. Here's Orlando Hudson. Hudson, the second baseman for the Twins, or the O-Dog as they call him. Strike 1. Hudson, one of the changes that they have made here in Minnesota this year, they've kind of revamped their infield a bit. Hudson at second base. J.J. Hardy, the shortstop. There's a ball outside, 1-1.
Really, they started to make some changes at the All-Star break last year when they started to bring in some guys via trade, when guys like Mauer and Morneau and Kadire were petitioning to the general manager, Bill Smith, that we need a little help. If we're going to win this division or stay close, we need some reinforcements.
There's a base hit to right, and Hudson is aboard.
You were talking about some of those deals last night. Orlando Cabrera came over. They had the closer, now John Roush. They got late in the season last year, and this year with Hardy and the old dog up the middle.
And with all the changes, the Twins continue to clip along in first place.
Their payroll is $97 million this year, too. They've gone way up as far as payroll is concerned.
Yeah, Minnesota was at $65 million last year, almost $98 million this year, so that is a huge jump. And Joe Mauer stands in. It's not often you see the reigning batting champ go 0 for 5. That's what happened last night, but a healthy dose of Justin Verlander was part of that.
And still hitting a cool 356.
Must be rough.
It must be.
Well, he signed that 8-year extension during spring training this year, so he'll be a Twin for a long, long time. And last night, Rod, they had him played perfectly defensively on the infield.
And Santiago is playing him exactly where he did last night. When you are able to get Mauer out, you've got to crowd him up the middle. And Santiago is almost directly behind the second base bag. And Mauer played pepper with Santiago last night.
Mauer has knocked in 12 this year. He's hit 1 home run. The 0-2. Joe Mauer got off to a nice start this year. In fact, he had an 8-game hitting streak the first week of the season. Of course, he missed all of April last year with a back problem. But once he rejoined their team in Minnesota, it's like he had been playing all season long. He was red hot in the month of May. Hudson down there at first base. 1 stolen base this year. Hasn't been caught. Held there by Cabrera. Lifted in the air toward left field. Hit pretty well. On the move is Brendan Bosch. With the shades down, he makes the play. 2 gone.
And Brendan Bosch getting his first look in left field as a Tiger. Of course, when he made his major league debut, the club was on the road in Texas. He made 1 start in left and 1 start in right. Right field is his natural position. That's pretty much what he played as a minor leaguer. So he's still learning left field.
And we saw Brendan shifting over now with Jim Thome coming up. How much is he going to depend on, well, the outfield coaches, Tom Brookins, for positioning?
Quite a bit. Also, what you can do as a very young player, and Austin Jackson hasn't been here that long, but what I've watched about Jackson in center field is he tends to move depending on what the count is. For instance, when it's a 2-strike count, he tends to shade that batter the opposite way. So as a left fielder, new left fielder in Bosch, you've got to move with your center fielder.
Jim Thome is batting in the cleanup slot today. Justin Morneau is out. He was taken out of the ballgame last night with a stiff back, and he's not playing today. So they moved Thome up to the number 4 position. He's the DH. And another one of the acquisitions in the offseason. Thome has worn a lot of different uniforms, of course, with Chicago and Philadelphia, now with the Twins, but his career began in Cleveland, and that's where many will remember Jim Thome. He put up a lot of numbers with the Indians. A good many of his home runs were hit with Cleveland. Scherzer missing outside. 2 balls, 1 strike. Big Jim now is sitting on 566 career home runs. Lifted toward left center field. Again hit well. Bosch going back to the track, to the wall, and that's gone. Jim Thome goes the other way, and he flicks it out over the left center field wall for his 4th home run of the season. That is 2-0 Minnesota. 567 career home runs for Thome.
Well, they didn't let Thome play in last night's game. They walked him 3 times. In 2-1, he goes down and gets a 2-seam fastball that's kind of fading away from him, and he's got tremendous power the opposite way, and Bosch just runs out of room.
2-0 Twins on the home run by Jim Thome. And a very quick lead tonight for Minnesota. There's a strike called on Michael Kadire. There's a ground ball on one hop, hit to the shortstop, Santiago. And that is that for Minnesota, but they take the lead on the Toby home run. 2-run shot makes it 2-0 Twins. The Tigers will line him up, presented by Big Boy tonight. It'll be Austin Jackson in center field, followed by Johnny Damon, and then Maglio Ordonez' .452 career against Baker. Cabrera follows, then Brennan Bosch in left field. Brandon Inge at third. Your bottom three features Rayburn, Avila, and Santiago for the Tigers. Well, the Bernstein advantage brings you the scouting report on Scott Baker. The Twins get the Bernstein advantage. We go to bat for you.
Well, Baker got to start the afternoon, 163. The playoff game the Tigers and the Twins played last year wasn't around for that decision, but got to start. He pitches well in this ballpark. He's a fly ball pitcher, and this ballpark usually yields a lot of foul fly balls to the outfielders. And one of the reasons why some of the Tigers have good numbers against Baker, he gets the fastball up quite a bit. 28 home runs last year.
So Austin Jackson, who's batting .314, starts it off for Detroit.
But he is just like all the Minnesota Twins pitchers. They're going to get hit a little bit because they throw tons of strikes.
Drilled toward the gap in right center field. That ball is down. It's cut off nicely by Kubel. Jackson trying for two. Here's the throw. He is safe.
Outstanding hustle by Jackson.
Sixth double of the year for Austin Jackson.
Kadire got over to this ball in a hurry as Jackson inside out with that classic inside out swing, and he ran right in the face of Kadire because he knew it was going to be tough for Kadire to stop on the dime and still throw him out, and that's just the one step that he needed to make it safely. That's a real nice hustling double. Kubel's in right today, excuse me.
Well, here is Johnny Damon now after the leadoff two-base hit.
Kadire's at first.
Yeah, they got him.
That would be something if you went out there to cut that one off.
That probably wouldn't be possible. Yeah, Kadire at first base tonight with Morneau out. Damon, a 14-game hitting streak. Had a couple of hits last night. And Baker misses low, 2-0.
Cool did a pretty nice job getting over to that ball.
Really nice job. And if Jackson isn't thinking double out of the box, he's out.
No question. Be nice to answer the 2 runs the Twins scored here in the first with at least one. Can't get greedy, just get one here.
2-0 pitch. Way outside. 3 balls, no strikes.
More than likely taking here, but they've got the perfect guy in the batter's box to hit something to the right side of the infield, which would get at least Jackson over the third. 14 base hits to right field this year so far for Damon. Not too many the opposite way.
There's a strike up with the right hand. Goes Gary Darling tonight behind the plate. Damon not only has the 14-game hitting streak, but he's been on base in 17 straight. And he pulls it on the ground to the right side, and it's stopped there by Hudson. His throw not in time. An infield hit for Johnny Damon.
That's even better. He gets his job done by hitting something to the right side of the infield, and he also gets a base hit. Hudson has lots of range at second base. He's won 4 Gold Gloves at that position. But Johnny still has good speed.
So the Tigers waste little time and put the tying runs on, and meanwhile Damon doesn't waste any time in extending that hitting streak. Here's Maglio Ordonez. Ball one up high to Maglio. 0 for 4 in the ball game last night. He is bearing in on 2,000 big league hits. He needs 4 more.
And this is the kind of lineup that can put some pressure on Baker, especially the number 2, 3, and 4 hitters the Tigers have in their lineup tonight.
Right back up the middle into center. It almost took Baker's cap off. It's an RBI hit for Maglio, and the Tigers are on the board.
Very patient have the Tigers been here in the very first inning against Baker. He's a strike thrower, but guys aren't just going up there swinging at the first things that they see. Maglio waited patiently for an 84, 85 mile per hour breaking ball and hit it right back up the middle.
So the Tigers greet Baker with 3 straight hits. And now they've got the number 4 man coming up, Cabrera, with 2 men on. Miguel 1 for 4 in the ball game last night. Tigers couldn't do too much against Liriano, but Cabrera did manage a double. Bouncing ball, third base side. Nice play there by Hughes. He'll throw to second. One, and the relay is a double play. Luke Hughes, making his big league debut, turns his first Twin killing.
I thought that possibly Hughes would go and tag third base and then go across the diamond to get the double play that way, but he ended up making the right decision by doing exactly as he did. Maybe he was a little bit too far behind the bag, but I thought maybe he'd just go to the bag and tag the bag right now and then throw the ball to first base.
I think you're right. I think he might have been too far behind the bag. But it worked out. And now Damon at third with 2 away for Brendan Bosch. And he rolls one toward first base right at Kadire. Pitcher will cover, and that is that for Detroit. But they get a run on the board, leave a man, and we go to the second.
Vince, Thursday tomorrow against Minnesota. It's 1 o'clock here, the Tigers. And on Friday, the Angels come a calling at 7. On Friday, tune in to Tigers Live at 6:30 for portions of a pregame concert by Victorious Secrets, the grand prize winning band of our April in the D song contest.
Victoria's Secrets?
Victorious Secrets. Slow down.
Scherzer back to work as we go to the second. Kubel leads it off in a 2-1 ball game. It's been a pretty wild start to this one so far. Kubel, Young, and J.J. Hardy here in the second. Scherzer gave up a 2-run homer to Tomey. And that's ripped into right field. Base hit for Kubel. So the Twins have their third hit.
This Minnesota Twins team, they have been clicking on all cylinders this year. They're getting good starting pitching. They catch everything that's hit on the ground, fly balls, bullpen, you name it. They're playing some really good baseball, but it's really a continuation of what they did last year when they went 17-4 to tie the Tigers on the last day of the season.
Yeah, it's kind of incredible the way they played down the stretch. I mean, they never lost. There's a ball inside to Delman Young. Young is hitting .245.
He looks like he's in great shape. He looks like he's dropped about 10-15 pounds in the offseason. He looks
a lot thinner.
Yeah. Looks good.
The 1-0. Tipped into the glove. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, he must be on that same diet Dimitri's on, because Dimitri looks good too. He's been in the clubhouse the last 2 days.
Yeah, but Delman's still getting that big league meal money though.
True. And the big league spreads.
Yeah.
Runner at first is Kubel. And it's rolled foul down the third base line. Well, Delman Young came on late in the ball game last night, walked a couple of times. 12 home runs last year, knocked in 60. And in his high school days, he actually played summer ball with the Tigers' Brennan Bosch in Southern California. Now the 1-2. You got to believe with all the talent in Southern California, some of those summer leagues have to be absolutely stacked.
It's really tough to get on some of the all-star teams, really. I mean, some of the better players get left off because of all the talent they have in Southern California, because the weather is so good. They play year-round.
1-2 on Young. And Scherzer misses inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Twins have grounded into 24 double plays this year. Third most in baseball. 24th, I should say, if I said 23. 24 double plays they've grounded into.
Well, Max could use one right here.
Probably the only thing they haven't done well.
That's true. There's a ground ball to third. There's one, and that's all they'll get. Boy, I thought you were going to be right on the money with that one. 1 away. Well, this game tonight is available in crystal clear high definition on Fox Sports Detroit HD. It is sponsored, as always, by Comcast. On a nice night, 56, make it 58 our game time temps, so nearly 60 degrees. Here's J.J. Hardy.
Hardy had a pretty nice night last night. Hit a couple of bullets into the outfield. Hit the ball extremely hard. Still checking in at 216, trying to get it together. First tour of duty in the American League, coming over from the Milwaukee Brewers.
Well, Hardy has been a pretty good home run hitter for that position. In fact, 61 home runs since the start of the 07 season, and only 2 other shortstops have hit more. And that would be Hanley Ramirez and Troy Tulowitzki over in the National League. Runner goes, and a bouncing ball off the end of the bat. Scherzer will handle it. Hardy is out. And the runner advances to second. Move Young up 90 feet. So he's in scoring position with 2 outs. And here comes the first big league at bat for Luke Hughes. Luke was called up just a couple of days ago from their AAA team. where he was batting .267 with 5 RBIs. He's a native of Australia and good buddies with Brad Thomas of the Tigers, also a native Australian. Ball 1 inside. Of course, Thomas used to pitch for these Minnesota Twins, and that was a few years ago. And at that time, Minnesota really was doing a lot of scouting in Australia. They had 16 Australians at one point in their organization. That number has dwindled a bit, but that's still quite a few. Fouled away, 1 ball, 1 strike. So we've seen some guys recently getting their first big league at bat. We saw Bosch for the Tigers, Smoke for Texas, Hughes now for Minnesota. Certainly exciting times for those guys. A little bit high or outside, one of the two. 2 balls, 1 strike. Scherzer allowed a single and a homer to Tomey in the first inning. The single by Hudson. Young is at second right now with 2 outs. Runner going, throw down to third. He is in time for the out. Avita's going to throw him the sheet. Hasn't he, though? He's been red hot. It's the 5th guy he's caught already this year. Inge with the tag.
A.m. The first 10,000 fans receive a Tigers team calendar. For tickets, call 866-66-TIGER or log on to tigers.com.
So here we go in the bottom of the second. Tigers down by a run here tonight. 2-1 is our score, and Brandon Inge leads it off. Scott Baker missing high with a breaking ball, 1-0. Inge, Rayburn, and Alex Avila facing the right-hander, who pitched out of a little bit of trouble in that first with a double play ball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Baker has all 4 pitches: the fastball, the curve, the slider, and the change. We've told you that he's had a lot of success here at Comerica Park because he's a fly ball pitcher. And usually fly ball pitchers do well here because it's so spacious in the outfield. He'll also pick one of his 2 breaking balls depending on which one seems to be working the best for him on any given night, and he will pretty much feature that one exclusively.
Well, he just threw 3 straight pretty good ones against Inge.
3 straight sliders, so apparently he's liking his slider here tonight.
First strikeout for Scott Baker.
Pretty nice pitch sequence there to Brandon Inge. They started him off with a fastball that was up around the letters. Inge didn't swing at it, but then he came back with the softer stuff.
Here's Ryan Rayburn.
Rayburn getting 3 days in a row.
Billy had that big double that knocked in 3 that last day in Texas. Ball missing inside, and you were talking about this in Texas. Yes, he has the ability to play a lot of different positions, but as you mentioned, he does have to bring his bat with him. There's no doubt.
They need him to get it going because now they don't have Carlos Guillen, so they need to find someone to produce the way that Carlos was producing in a Tigers uniform before he went down with a hamstring injury. And due to what Ryan did last year, he's a likely candidate. Career highs in just about every offensive category.
Good pitch right on the outer edge. 1-2 on Rayburn.
When the Twins go out looking for free agent pitching, amateur pitching, they don't necessarily look for the guys that throw the hardest. They look for the guys that throw the most strikes and who can get guys out in the strike zone. And those are the guys that end up in their organization, and those are the guys that usually get through the minor leagues to the big leagues. The strike throwers. You don't have to throw 95 to pitch in the big leagues for Minnesota.
Well, here's something else to consider along those lines. They have walked as a staff just 48 this year, which is the fewest amount of walks in the American League. And I think it goes hand in hand with the fact that they've only committed 2 errors this year.
Well, the defenders stay on their toes. They know there's going to be lots of contact, and they're always ready.
Missed it outside. 3-2.
We had a shot there of Francisco Liriano. He was 20 of 28 in first pitch strikes yesterday. And with that lethal stuff he was featuring, it was some of the best stuff we've seen this year. Felix Hernandez pitched very well out in Seattle. We saw him, but that performance by Liriano last night was one of the best pitching performances I've seen against the Tigers this year.
2 gone with the strikeout of Rayburn. But Brandon Inge said before the game today that's the best slider he has seen Liriano have, and that includes 06 when he was dynamite.
He was lights out.
So with 2 outs, here is Alex Avila. A beautiful night tonight here at the ballpark. Twins in town, game 2 in the series. They lead the Tigers 2-1. Alex has 3 hits this season. He's hit a couple of balls hard, and he's trying to get it going offensively as well. Really, both of the Tigers catchers, Gerald Laird and Alex, off to slow starts with the bat.
The one area that we're concerned as far as Avila leaving spring training was how would he catch, because he really hadn't been catching all that long, and they felt like he was going to be the catcher of the future. So they were split in the front office as to whether to send him to Toledo to catch every day or to come to the big leagues and get some spotty playing time. But the catching has been very good up here.
And he just threw another runner out earlier in this game, last half inning. Of course, Gerald has always been very good in that regard. 2 balls, 1 strike. A couple of strikeouts here for Baker in the second. Avila this year 3 for 28 offensively. And the 2-1. Tigers had only 1 walk against Liriano last night.
It's counts like these where you start to get healthy, though. Predictable fastball count, and Baker not afraid to spot his fastball. Threw him a changeup. How about that?
And he walked him with it. 2 out base on balls. He's going to bring up Santiago. Baker coming into this one had walked just 2 batters in his last 3 starts combined.
They got some strike throwers.
Santiago at 310 right now. Was 0 for 3 last night. Adam Everett still not quite ready to go, although they say he is pretty close. A little bit of a hamstring problem. Of course, Guillen currently on the disabled list. There's Adam taking this one in from the bench tonight. That's hit the other way, base hit. Well, Santiago goes opposite field, and the Tigers have something brewing now with 2 outs. Santiago's had a real nice start to this season offensively.
He just kind of takes what you give him. And whether he's batting left-handed or right-handed, he just seems to get lots of base hits the other way. Seeing the baseball very well right now is Santiago.
Now the top of the order. Austin Jackson doubled and scored back in the first inning.
This young man is off to a terrific start for his big league career, regardless of the strikeouts.
Yeah, say what you will about the strikeouts, and certainly people will focus on those because it is a high strikeout total. The fact does remain that he has the highest batting average of all rookies, more hits than any other rookie, and he plays a dynamite center field.
Also hitting .375 with runners in scoring position.
And he's ahead now. 2 balls, no strikes. Two-out walk to Avila. He's at second base. Santiago has just singled. He's at first base. Fouled straight back. Had a rip on 2-0. 2-1. Jackson has hit safely in 5 of his last 6. He did draw a walk last night. Baker now has given up 4 hits. 15-game winner last year. 15-9 for the Twins. Here's the 2-1. Bouncing ball to short. J.J. Hardy has it. They'll get the force, and the side retired. Tigers threaten with 2 outs, fail to score. 2 innings in the books. Possible with the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And by GMC, we are professional grade. Back here at Comerica Park, and a nice night for baseball here in the Motor City. Lights are on. Nighttime starting to settle in. And the Tigers and Twins going at it again. Max Scherzer climbs back on top of the hill, facing the Twins here in the 3rd. Luke Hughes will lead it off, and then Denard Span and Orlando Hudson. Ball 1 to Hughes, who was at the plate when Avila threw another runner out. Young trying to steal 3rd. Ball 2 inside to Hughes. 2-run shot by Jim Thome in the first inning. The difference, Scherzer has struck out 1 in this game, and the 2-0 is fouled back. Max ready with a 2-1. And it's popped up. Foul ground back toward the dugout and out of play. 2-2 on Hughes. We're talking about Hughes coming out of Australia. He spent 7 years in the minor leagues, including the start of this year, so 7+ before he finally got tonight's first big league opportunity.
He's gotten a lot of at-bats.
Hammered high in the air to right field and hit well. Ordonez going back to the wall, and that ball is gone. Luke Hughes in his first major league at bat hits a home run off Max Scherzer. And that's one to remember for the young man. Second home run allowed by Scherzer in this game, and a big old grin on Hughes' face. They won't have trouble getting that ball back. Fans fired it back on the field.
He had a chance to see a couple of pitches last half inning because Delman Young was at second base before getting thrown out. And on 2-2 count, he lifted and separated. And we don't see many right-handers go against the traffic the way that Hughes was able to go there. That replay courtesy always of Lincoln Mercury Exmo. How about that?
Well, congratulations to Luke Hughes.
I think he got the ball back already. They threw it back unless it was not the original baseball. But there's a ball in their dugout courtesy of someone throwing it back in from right field.
That was Maglio, actually. The fans threw it back on the field, and Maglio fired it back in for him.
Wow, that's impressive. Joe Vavre, their hitting coach. We talk a lot about the hitters. Talk a lot about Anderson and the pitching. Gardenhire, of course, because his reputation is tremendous. But Vavre, their hitting coach, boy, has he done nice work the last couple of years with so many of these young hitters.
Santiago handles the soft ground ball from Span. One gone.
When you think about where Span has gone and what he has done, Delman Young looks like he's going to get a lot better in the second half of the season. You know what Mauer's able to do, so he's done a very nice job.
It's a good point. Nobody really talks much about him. Kubel has kind of picked up his game as well offensively. It's a good lineup. He's got a lot of good pieces to work with, but done a very nice job. There's a ball down low to Orlando Hudson. Each team now with 4 hits. The Twins have hit 2 homers. Hudson singled, scored a run on the Tomey homer in the first. Hitting coaches seem to ride a roller coaster ride because very rarely do you have all guys, 9 guys in the lineup going good at one time. There's always someone that needs a tweak or two or some help.
Just to give you an example, last night Joe Mauer was 0 for 5. I mean, there are some guys that would go 0 for 5, and they would have the hitting instructor out at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They'd be watching video. They'd be trying to figure out something that is really not a problem. But Mauer 0 for 5, no problem for him. He still goes out the next day and knows that, you know what, I'm going to get some good swings. The hitting coach is like a psychologist sometimes as well.
Yep, that is absolutely true. Here's the 2-2. Roller slowly and foul first base side. By the way, Hughes, we are told, becomes the first Twins player to homer in his first major league at bat since 1984 when Andre Davis did it here in Detroit.
How about that?
So here we are in 2010, and Hughes becomes the latest to do so. 2-2 pitch. Little pop up, shallow center field. Jackson coming hard, diving and making the catch. Wow! This guy just makes one great catch after another.
He can cover some real estate. And it really doesn't matter whether he's going back or if he's going east to west. He comes in this one and picks it right off the carpet. What a grab by Jackson. Look at the concentration. Gets low to the ground, make sure he keeps the glove underneath to make sure the ball is able to rest softly in the glove.
2 gone. It's amazing to see the type of center field that Jackson has played here at Comerica Park from the get-go, because a few other guys that have played here in this ballpark and center have always thought that it wasn't really an easy center field to play. But Jackson has made it look super easy. No balls, 2 strikes. And you have so much room out there in center, and the gaps are wide, but there's also a feel that at least Curtis Granderson said made it kind of uneasy out there in center.
When the Tigers made the deal to get Jackson, they talked about the fact that he was ready defensively to play in the big leagues right away, but they didn't know what he would do offensively. But he's done a nice job on both sides of the ball.
But do you think they thought he'd be this good defensively?
Well, I really didn't know, because I didn't know a whole lot about him. But when you start to hear guys like Willie Horton talk about him and comparing him to Mickey Stanley, and then you start to hear Reggie Jackson talk about the fact that he's going to be an all-star and win Gold Gloves, guys that have really played and had success, and you start to pay attention to the words of some of those guys.
Ball down low, 1-2. Well, it's been fun to watch, that's for sure. Joe Mauer is 0 for 1 and now 0 for 6 in this series. Hammered foul, back out of play, left field line this time.
If the Tigers continue to have success against Mauer, you're going to see some other teams start to shade him the way that they're shading him, at least on the infield toward the pull field. In the outfield, they're straight up because he sprays the ball everywhere.
Mentioned Mauer came back to the lineup last year in the month of May after missing all of April with a bad back. In May, he had 32 RBIs last year. Fresh off the DL, and he puts together a 32 RBI month. Again, the 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Joe Mauer.
He's a fierce competitor. He really doesn't show it on the field. You don't see him throwing bats. You don't see him throwing helmets. You don't see him using bad language after he makes an out. But his teammates will tell you he is a fierce, fierce competitor and does not like to lose at anything. He's one of those type guys.
Do you think by the time this 8-year extension comes up at the end of this contract, he'll still be catching in the big leagues?
I don't think so. I think he'll be playing somewhere else. And I don't know where that's going to be, but he's a pretty good athlete, and he could probably play some first. I wouldn't doubt the fact that he could play outfield if they needed him to play out there. I do know one thing. He'll be hitting at the end of this contract.
That's for certain. He will be hitting. And who knows how many more batting titles he might win before the end of that deal. He was signed, of course, to the 8-year extension this spring, which I think a lot of Twins fans were able to breathe a sigh of relief when that happened. There's another foul ball back out of play.
He's gotten a real good look at Scherzer. If Scherzer's going to get him out, he's going to have to throw a really good pitch. I mean, a really good pitch. And it might be that changeup, but you have to really disguise it as a strike to get him out in front, and you might get a ground ball. You'd like a strikeout, but you might at least get the ground ball with that changeup.
Another foul back out of play.
Oh, he reached back to get a little extra there, 95. They're going to talk about it now. Vita's going to say, wait a minute now. We've thrown him everything but the kitchen sink. And he continues to foul off pitch after pitch. Let's get clear here as to what we want to do against this guy. And that's a sign of a maturing catcher right there, Mario. To get up out of his seat and go out and say, you know what do you want to do with this guy? Because what I'm putting down, he continues to foul off.
Well, it gets back, I guess, to what you were talking about a little bit earlier. There was a little bit of concern on whether or not Alex would be ready defensively, but he continues to grow and mature. There's a line drive to left.
Did you see him go down and get that change piece?
So a 2-out single for Mauer. Right now we check into the studio. Mickey York has an update of the Yankees and Orioles. Mick. All right, Mick, thanks very much. And Jim Thome, the batter, with 2 outs.
You're starting to get in the feeling there that that at bat was kind of working in the Mauer's favor with each pitch that he saw, and he finally went down and got a changeup off the carpet. Well located pitch by Scherzer, but Mauer still able to get a base hit off of it.
They got the shift on for Thome, and he had a ground ball last night to Scott Sizemore in short right field. Sizemore was way back there, and it turned out to be a throwing error, which allowed a run to score. And Jim was saying before the game, that's the one thing that Scott needs to learn. You know, who was the runner at that time? He probably had a little bit more time than he thought he did, and he rushed that throw and threw it away. That misses 1-2. But by and large, Leland has been extremely happy with the 2 rookies that started the season in the starting lineup for the Tigers, Jackson and Sizemore. Ooh, where was that? A little bit wide, 2-2. Scherzer at 62 pitches right now. Thome checked it.
The Twins these days are kind of acting like the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox, where they're getting the opposing starting pitchers up to 100 pitches around that 5th inning.
That's what they did to Verlander last night, and now Scherzer at 63. A 30-pitch 3rd inning. Runner going and a wave and a miss. Thome is gone and the side retired, but they get another run on the Hughes homer. You're watching Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit, presented by Bell Tire. The game ends. Our coverage continues with Tigers Live here from manager Jim Leland, the players. Plus, we'll break down the game and show you all the highlights. Tigers Live from the Call Sam Studios immediately after the game right here on Fox Sports Detroit. Well, some work to be done now for the boys. They're down 3-1 as we head to the bottom of the 3rd. Couple of homers helping out Mr. Baker in this one. Johnny Damon leads it off. Had a single back in the 1st inning. There's a strike call. I want to make a correction on something we told you earlier. We said that home run by Hughes was the first in his first major league at bat since Andre Davis. Is Andre David back in 1984 here in Detroit. Want to get Mr. David's name correct. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Johnny Damon. Damon wasting no time in extending that hit streak. It's at 15. He's been on base now in 18 straight games. Wave and a miss. Not that time. Another strikeout for Baker. That's his third. He's going to bring up Maglio. Ordonez singled in a run. The only Tigers run so far, with a hot shot back up the middle in the first inning. His 15th RBI. Which means now he is 3 hits shy of 2,000. Breaking ball away, 2-0. Into right field, and that's down. Extra base hit. It'll go to the wall. Ordonez chugging towards second, and he's in with a stand-up double. Getting closer and closer.
That's something we haven't really seen Maglio do a lot of this year. That's hit the ball the opposite way. He made a living doing that a couple of years ago when he won a batting title. His first in a Tigers uniform, but he's become much more pull happy this year and driving balls to left field, but that's a welcome sight there.
So here comes Cabrera now. He's the tying run at the plate. Miguel bounced into a 5-4-3 double play in the first inning. And he takes strike one from Baker. .353 average for Cabrera. He's put up 30 hits already this year. 30 of them, which leads all American League hitters. Ground ball hit slowly toward third. And Cabrera's out for the second time. Runner holds. 2 gone. Now Brennan Bosch.
Brennan Bosch has been watching Cabrera the last few games because he hadn't been taking very many pitches. And he likes to swing at that very first pitch. And a lot of power hitters do, because most pitchers are trying to get ahead of you on that particular pitch, and if you make a mistake against big strong guys like Bosch, they can hurt you. And he was rated as having the best power in the Eastern League last year.
Strike called, 0-1.
Big fella too, 6'6". You can't teach size. You can teach a lot of things in the big leagues, but you can't teach size.
Played his college ball over in the Pac-10 at Cal. In fact, he was saying that he was at Cal the same time Tim Lincecum was at Washington, and he faced Lincecum several times. And said he was really nasty as a freshman even back then in the Pac-10. Big swing there. 0-2.
You think Seattle, if they could do it all over again, they would draft Lincecum instead of taking Brandon Morrow, who they took for the first pick that year?
Yeah, I like Morrow's arm, but yes, I think the answer to your question is a resounding yes. I guess Lincecum 2-hit Cal one time, and Brennan said we only had 2 hits. I had both of them.
Well, usually the guys that are playing in the big leagues, they can hit the other guy's best pitchers.
Good point. Foul straight back.
There's always that one guy. If you're a real good player, even in Little League and high school, there's always that one guy on the other team that can hit you, or the one guy you can't hit, and those guys that are usually your pro prospects.
Bosch off to a terrific start this year. He was hitting .379 at Toledo. 17 RBIs in just 15 games. That's why he was called up. That'll get away from Maurer. To the backstop it goes. Advance the runner to third. So Ordonez moves up 90 feet. Wild pitch charged to Baker. Maurer just tried to backhand that ball. Bosch picked up his first big league hit in his first major league at bat off Rich Harden. And he pops this one up foul, so we'll get back toward the seats and out of play. Brennan Bosch, born in Santa Monica, lives in Los Angeles. Trying to get the Tigers a little bit closer here with a man at 3rd and 2 outs. The 1-2. Rolled it foul. We were talking about Baker a little bit earlier. He was originally drafted by the Pirates out of high school, but he decided to attend college instead. He wasn't drafted very high by Pittsburgh. He went to Oklahoma State and lifted his draft prospects, and then eventually signed with Minnesota. Bouncing ball to short. Ranging left is Hardy. And Bosch is out by half a step. Side retired. Tigers get a double. They leave a man. 3 in the books. They go to the 4th. Here at Comerica Park, time for the AT&T trivia question tonight. What do we have for you? Among the active players, who has the fewest 0 for 5s or worse since 2004 with a minimum of 2,000 plate appearances? Who has the fewest 0 for 5s or worse games since 04? Mauer went 0 for 5 in the ballgame last night. Here is Michael Kadire to lead it off. First pitch swinging, drills one deep to left center field. Jackson is on the run. He'll turn. It's off the base of the wall. Kadire is headed to second, and he'll pull in there with a double. It's another extra base hit for the Twins.
One of the things I've noticed about the Twins the first couple of games of this series, they're taking a lot of first pitch fastballs, but Kadire does not take this one. He jumps all over the fastball right around the belt buckle. And that ball's a home run in most ballparks, and Jackson couldn't run it down, so you know that the ball could not be run down. What a player. Off to a really nice start this year. 17 RBIs.
5 doubles already. Here's Jason Kubel.
And when Morneau went down last year, it was Kadire that started playing first base and started driving in tons of runs. He looked like Justin Morneau at that position for the last month of the season.
29 RBIs in September for Kadire. Looped into left field. That's a base hit. Bosch was playing deep. They're going to send Kadire home. Here comes the throw. A one-hopper to the plate. Not in time.
Good coaching by Scotty Olger. Real good coaching. We told you that Bosch is a right fielder by trade. He hasn't played a whole lot of left field. And he was simply coming in to get this baseball in a real casual fashion. Coming up to throw the ball to second base. And Kadire kind of turned it on at the last moment and was able to steal a run there. They stole that run.
You think Olger noticed that or Kadire?
Well, usually you don't go on a play like that unless your third base coach is telling you to do so. I don't know if he was verbally saying so, because I didn't see him very animated as far as the right arm was concerned, as we see most third base coaches when they're sending a guy home.
Now, Kubel gets a single on that play, takes second on the throw. Scott Olger, their third base coach. Delman Young, the batter. 4-1 ball game now. Twins on top. 2-0. Delman bounced out back in the second, reaching actually on a fielder's choice, and then was later caught trying to steal third base by Alex Avila, who continues to mow him down behind the plate. Two-0 pitch.
Yeah, you could see by that last swing by Delman that he has kind of bought into the way that they play baseball here in Minnesota, trying to drive that ball the opposite way. 2-0 count, runner on second. You've got nobody out. Usually in that particular count, 2-0, Delman would be looking to hit the ball in the gap, but he was simply trying to do his job.
Back up the middle, into center. That's a base hit. Kubel coming to third. They're going to stop him there. 3 straight hits for the Twins here in the fourth.
Well, Jackson had a chance to watch that last play evolve as they took an extra base on Bosch, and he came in charging that one rather aggressively to make sure they didn't do the same thing to him.
Rick Knapp now will make a visit out to the mound as the Tigers get the bullpen working here in the fourth inning. It really is amazing when you look at the Tigers starting pitching this year, which was considered a strength of this team coming out of spring training. They just have not been able to get deep into games. 71 pitches right now for Scherzer. He'll try and stem the tide here as he listens to Rick Knapp.
We've already talked about the fact as well that Minnesota has hit into quite a few double plays, and with Delman Young standing on first, if they get themselves in the right count, they will probably take off and try to steal that base or put a hit and run on, because Gardenhire knows his team has hit into quite a few double plays already this year.
Brad Thomas tuning up in the Detroit bullpen. Former Minnesota Twin. Here is J.J. Hardy. First and third, nobody out, a run in. Strike called on the inside corner, 0-1.
Here's where the base runner on the ball hit on the ground, if it's hit sharply, and they usually try to come home because they rather give you the out at home versus giving you the out the more conventional way of a double play. So expect Kubel to take off and come home if the ball's hit on the ground.
Off the glove of Avila, but a swing and a miss makes it 0-2. Kubel is standing at third base, and they have Delman Young at first. Hardy hit one right back to the mound his first time up. Now the 0-2. Bouncing ball to third, foul. We're talking about how the Twins added to their payroll from $65 million to almost $98 million. It's amazing now that they have the 10th highest payroll in baseball.
They've got that new stadium as well, and they've already sold 3 million tickets. So with that kind of payroll, now obviously they're going to get a boost from all the people that are going to go through the turnstiles now at their new home. Kind of goes hand in hand these days when teams get new stadiums. Because of the revenue, they tend to hike the payroll.
And more cash in the coffers. Well, with one out, time now for the Coors Light Cold Hard Blast, and it's off the bat of Luke Hughes.
First big league at bat, 2-2 pitch fastball, demonstrated some power.
First hit is a home run. And he's up there now with runners at first and third and one out.
So far, Scherzer's done a pretty nice job of making sure Delman Young has stayed over at first base, which is important with one out. You want to give yourself a chance to get him out of this inning with one pitch and get that ground ball. But if you forget about him and you let him steal that base, you won't be able to do so.
Popped him up. See if it stays in play here. Avila coming back, drifting, and the runners will hold. It's a big out there, 2 gone. And that will leave the runners at first and third for the top of the order now. Denard Span. Span is 0 for 2. Remember in spring training this year, toward the end of spring training, Denard Span fouled off a ball into the seats, and it actually hit his mother.
I saw that.
I mean, what are the odds of that? Fortunately, she was okay.
He was so shaken up after that they had to take him out of the game.
He's hitting here now with 2 outs in the 4th inning.
That's why myself, when I come to games, whenever I can, and it's not always the case, I like to sit behind the screen. And I've got good reflexes, and I've been around baseball parks my entire life. I just like the comfort of sitting behind that screen.
I agree with you. And really, it doesn't matter what kind of reflexes you have, because if you are distracted and you don't see these foul balls coming at you, it can be extremely dangerous. The 0-1 is in for a strike, and wasn't it back in the 80s at Fenway Park when a small child got hit and Jim Rice raced out of the dugout at Fenway and grabbed the young man and brought him to the hospital?
I do remember that story, that incident.
Yeah, and you wonder how it doesn't happen more often. 0-2. Just off the plate. Scherzer really wanted that one.
I don't know how Span was able to take that pitch with 2 strikes as close as it was.
Wow. Really close. Just a tad outside, according to Fox Tracks. 1-2. There's a base hit to left field. That'll score another run as Kubel comes in. And now it's 5-1 Minnesota.
And Span may have been hitting 225 coming into play tonight, but hitting over 400 in his career against the Tigers. And you hate to see the table setters come up with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, because really all they're trying to do is exactly what Span did right there, is just punch something the other way, and he found a hole.
That's 9 hits already now for Minnesota, and that's going to bring up Orlando Hudson. Span gets his 8th RBI. There's a strike 0-1. So it looked like Scherzer was going to be able to pitch his way through this 4th with only 1 run in, but the 2-out hit by Denard Span, who, by the way, came in averaging .400 career against Detroit. Here's the 0-1. Hudson has a single, a run scored. And they've got 2 on the base paths. Young at second base, Span at first. Scherzer now at 83 pitches here in the 4th. Pulled into right field, and that's a base hit. Here comes Young rounding third. They'll send him home. Maglio's throw is not in time. Span takes third base, and Minnesota gets their 10th hit of the game. They lead 6-1. And that's going to be it for Scherzer. Two consecutive 2-out RBI hits. Wallside Windows pitching change here at the ballpark tonight. Scherzer is gone, and we'll be back.
For tickets, call 866-66-TIGER or log on to tigers.com. Tigers have some nice giveaways during the course of the season.
They sure do. They're all really good. Well, not a good night tonight for Max Scherzer. He is out of the game. He departs here in the fourth inning after giving up 3 runs. He goes 3 2/3, 10 hits in the game tonight.
Well, we talked about before the game, this would be his biggest test. He didn't walk anybody, but gave up quite a few hits. This Minnesota Twins team, as we well documented, playing some of the best baseball in the majors as we speak. So they're just a hot club right now, doing lots of things right.
Brad Thomas is in, facing Joe Mauer with runners at first and third. 6-1 Minnesota with the lead. Thomas delivers a strike. Mauer has a single and a fly ball in this game. 360 batting average. Ball outside. First and third for the Twins. They have Span and Hudson aboard. They've out-hit the Tigers 10-5. Lifted toward left. Rutted Bosch, and the side retired. But another big inning for Minnesota. They scored 3 times. Thomas comes on to get the final out. Ainge, Rayburn, Avila coming up. The Tigers 10-5 as we go to the bottom of the fourth. The AT&T trivia question: among the active players who have the fewest 0 for 5s or worse games since 2004. Of course, Joe Mauer went 0 for 5 in the ball game last night. How about Maglio? He's had only 5 in that span. Pretty impressive.
Maglio has real good hand-eye coordination, as does Joe Mauer.
Of course, Maglio won a batting title a couple of years ago. Here's our answer tonight. Here's Brandon Inge leading it off. Skies one in the air to left field to hit well. Young going back to the track, to the wall. It's going to carry out. It's gone. Brandon Inge hit that one high and deep and over the bullpen. Third homer of the year for Brandon.
Baker's been coming inside on a lot of these right-handers with that good two-seam fastball. Take a look at Brandon pull his hands inside on that ball and golf it out of here. Real nice work here. Hands close to the body. You can see it start forcing his hands inside right now. And the hands are strong. You can see the forearms and the muscles in the forearms, and he muscled it out of here.
Inge has his third home run.
That's not an easy ball to really keep fair, but Brandon was able to do so because of the direction that his hands took to make contact.
Here's Ryan Rayburn. Tigers have their 6th hit. Four-run game now. Minnesota still in the lead, and a ball high from Baker. 3-0. Baker walked Avila back in the 2nd. And he has another walk here. It's the Twins staff that does not walk too many. So the Tigers cracking the door open a little bit here in the 4th. That'll bring up Avila. Alex had a base on balls in the 2nd inning. Baker, you might remember, pitched game 163 last year against the Tigers in October. Didn't get a decision in that game. They went extra innings. He pitched 6 innings in that game, and he allowed 3 runs. There's a strike called on Avila. 0-1. Lifted foul down the left field line. So it's no balls, 2 strikes. And the Tigers catcher. Baker allowed 6 runs in his last start against Cleveland. He lasted 5 2/3, allowing 10 hits, 6 runs. So he got roughed up in his last outing. Here the Tigers have been relatively quiet in this game offensively until the home run by Inge here in the 4th. Fouled away again. 1-2. Baker going through the bottom of the Tigers lineup. You've got Santiago waiting on deck, but he's been a hot hitter. Swing and a miss. Avila goes down swinging. First out of the inning. Here's a reminder to vote for your Tigers McDonald's player of the game using your cell phone. Text Tigers followed by a space in the player's uniform number to 37338. That's FSDET. See the final results post game during Tigers Live. And don't forget to check your text response for special offers from McDonald's. Here's Santiago. 4th strikeout of the game for Baker. Strike 1. Santiago had a single the other way back in the 2nd. Right back up the middle and through a base hit. Rayburn holding down at second base. So Santiago now 2 for 2 out of the 9 slot.
Just continues to take what's given to him. Fastball away, just goes right back with it. Hardy can't knock it down.
Tigers have their 7th hit. Top of the order now for Austin Jackson.
New first base coach Tom Brooking barking out some instructions to Santiago. I'm sure he's probably reminding him to freeze on a line drive in the infield. Don't get doubled up, and also don't allow the second baseman to touch you on a potential double play ball if it's in the line. Some of the things that a right first base coach would go over in this situation.
Jackson tonight with a double.
You know it as a player, but you like to hear it. You like to hear it confirmed, because it just helps you remember when the game starts to speed up on the baseball field. It's nice to hear it.
Here's the 1-0. Baker now having trouble throwing strikes. 2 balls, no strikes. After the home run by Inge, Rayburn walked, so he's at second. One out later, Santiago has singled.
Well, here's where you start to mature as a major league hitter. You look for one fastball in one spot, and if you're Jackson and you get that fastball, this is where you look to hit the ball in the gap somewhere. See if you can score Santiago from first.
Meanwhile, it's 3-0. Baker walked 3 in his first start of the year against the Angels, and he's walked 2 in this game. Three and one. Jackson with a 2-base hit, and the Tigers have been a double machine this year. They've hit a ton of them. There's the strike. 3-2.
Don't know what Jim will do here with the base runners. 3-2. It'd be risky to run them with the fact that Jackson leads the American League in strikeouts. If he swings and misses, there's no way Rayburn gets to third.
That fact alone probably means they're not going.
And you would like to see Johnny Damon come to the plate with runners in scoring position.
3-2. Runners hold, and it's ball 4, and that's going to load him up. Third walk for Baker. They are loaded for the Tigers. Going to bring Rick Anderson out. Johnny Damon due up. Twins pitching coming into this game had an ERA of 3.41, and not too many had been better in the American League. Only Oakland, Seattle, and Tampa with a better team ERA. Baker has sidestepped some major trouble here tonight, but he's got a problem brewing here with the bases full and 1 out. Let's look at who's available on that lineup sheet. So now the guy you want up there, Johnny Damon, 1 for 2 with a single in a 15-game hitting streak. Swings at the first, 0-1. Damon with 8 RBIs. He's got the 4th best on-base percentage in the American League at .443. Wave and a miss again. So after walking Jackson, Baker now gets ahead of Johnny Damon 0-2. 6 grand slams in his career, nearly 400 with the bases full. Definitely the meaty part of the Tigers lineup here against Baker. You've got Damon, you've got Ordonez on deck. Then it would be Cabrera. And a bouncing ball hit to the right side. Hudson spins, and he'll get only one out. This will score a run as Rayburn crosses home plate at 6-3. Damon gets an RBI, his 9th of the year.
We're going to make that our bell tire pitch by pitch. Even though Baker has walked a couple, Damon knew he was going to get a first pitch fastball, and he tried to get to it, but he missed. He fell behind, no balls, 2 strikes, before finally hitting a ground ball, which Hudson wisely took the out at first, which meant Damon got the RBI there.
Here's Ordonez with runners at second and third. Drives it foul, back out of play.
The Tigers pretty much all year as a club, they've been very patient. They've taken their fair share of walks, but the last couple of days they've been very aggressive on first pitches because the Twins pitchers as a whole throw so many strikes. And once you fall behind in the big leagues, it's tough to really get a lot of base hits. So they've been very aggressive early in counts in the first 2 days of this series.
Line drive to right, base hit. 1 run is in. This might get 2 runs in. The throw to the plate, not in time. Ordonez does it again with a 2-run single. Santiago and Jackson score, and the Tigers back to within 1.
It's one of the things the Tigers have demonstrated the ability to do this year, and that's come from behind in games, and they've had to do it a whole lot this year. And we told you earlier, Maglio not getting tons of base hits the opposite way, but he's been struggling a little bit at the plate here the last few games. And what better way to get back on track is to let the ball travel and hit the ball the opposite direction. That's when you get healthy again. And Jackson, with his speed, there really wasn't going to be a play on him.
3 RBIs for Ordonez tonight, 17 for the year, and all of a sudden it's a 1-run game now. And here's Cabrera. Off the end of the bat, 0-1. 8 Tigers hits. They have put up a 4-run 4th inning.
Maglio came into play tonight with sizzling numbers against Baker, and boy, he's continued to do so.
Hasn't disappointed, has he?
Cabby got nice numbers against him as well.
Just one swing of the bat away from getting the Tigers the lead. Driven back out of play. 0-2 on Cabrera. This has been the lengthiest of innings for Baker, 28 pitches.
Patient at bats by Rayburn and Jackson to get walks out of Baker, a guy that doesn't walk a whole lot. Very good at bats by those two.
And the 2 walks in this inning have both come around to score. Cabrera has put the ball on the ground twice, 0 for 2. Got him, strike through. Cabrera punched out. But the Tigers sent 8 men to the plate. They get right back in this game. It all started with Brandon Inge going deep. Hockey teams from 1999 for Season 2 of Replay the Series. The teams are training for their game on Sunday, May 9th. They'll settle the score with the help of Detroit hockey legends Gordie Howe, Brendan Shanahan, and Scotty Bowman. To learn more and for info on where to buy tickets, check out replaytheseries.com. Here it is all of a sudden a game once again. 6-5 is our score. Brad Thomas goes to the hill, and we go to the 5th inning. Jim Thome leads it off, and he looks at strike one. Thome and then Kadire and then Kubel. 6 runs, 10 hits for the Twins. 5 runs, 8 hits for Detroit. Ball outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Thome has a 2-run shot. He hit that off Max Scherzer in the 1st inning, and then he struck out against Scherzer in the 3rd. Tipped into the glove. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The 1-2. Driven right field, sinking, base hit. Ordonez had him played deeply, and it's another hit for Thome. Leadoff man is on for the 4th consecutive inning. It's going to bring up Michael Kadire. And now 11 hits for Minnesota. I was talking to Alex Avila before the game tonight, Rod, and I asked him, who is the toughest guy in the Tigers staff to catch? Who's the most difficult guy? And I was expecting Verlander or Zumaya. And he told me Brad Thomas.
Really?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I said.
Did you say why?
In that tone, I said, really? And he said, yeah. He said, you know, with Zumaya and Verlander, yeah, they throw really, really hard. He goes, you can get used to that, but Thomas has so much movement on his pitches.
Wow, it's good to know. I didn't know that.
I didn't either. I found it very surprising. The 1-0. That one sailed outside. 2 balls, no strikes.
Well, Tigers gave him a major league contract when they were able to get him to come back stateside, and that's really one of the reasons why he made the team leaving spring training. Had they tried to send him down, he was out of options because of the time that he had spent in the Minnesota Twins uniform. They probably would have lost Thomas because left-handers that throw 94 miles an hour, those guys aren't falling off trees.
That's it deep to center. To the wall goes Jackson to haul that one in.
Kadire has a double in the game today, but he would have 2 home runs if they were playing in any other baseball park.
Yeah, 420 to dead center. That one fell just a bit short.
Look at the concentration, Jackson. He knows exactly where he's at. When you've got 420 behind you, you can pretty much go as far as you need to go and still know that you've got plenty of room.
A long out off the bat of Kadire. Here's Jason Kubel. Checked it, and did he go? Apparently not. They want the appeal. And he went. Strike one. Kubel 2 for 2. A couple of singles and an RBI. Fouled straight back. This is a Twins team that, not surprisingly, is among one of the better hitting teams in the American League. What's surprising to me is that Kansas City still has the best team average in the AL at 291.
If they were pitching a little bit better, or if they were catching the ball a little bit better, Kansas City would have a much better team.
Rayburn gets the force at second base.
Kansas City is toward the bottom in pitching and defense.
So 2 outs. Rayburn spelling Sizemore tonight at second base. Here's Delman Young. Kansas City with a 5.07 ERA is the only team in the American League that is into the 5 range in team earned run average. Fouled away. Of course, the Tigers really beat up on their bullpen the first week of the season.
Sure did.
0-1 on Delman Young. Single, fielder's choice. 1 for 2 tonight for Young. Fouled away. Got it in his hands that time, and the count is 0-2. Well, there's three of the Tigers rotation: Verlander, Bonderman, Porcello, trying to get Rick Porcello going. Verlander, despite the high pitch count, pitched pretty well last night. And that's an ongoing process, trying to get quicker outs.
Well, we know he has it in him, that's for sure. We've seen him. But his last couple of outings, over 120 pitches, and in the outing in Los Angeles before last night, he threw 125 pitches in 5 innings, and you saw the number in last night's game against Minnesota, 121 pitches.
Strike called on the outer edge, and Thomas strikes out Young. Looking. Nothing doing for Minnesota. You're watching Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit, presented by Bell Tire. By your neighborhood Spartan store. For locations, visit turntospartan.com. And by Jaguar. Visit your local Jaguar dealer to experience the 2011 Jaguar XJ. Back here in Detroit. Nice night for baseball here. A little bit cool, but that's okay. The Tigers and the Twins in an offensive game here tonight. And there's a drive down the right field line. Fair ball. Off the bat of Brennan Bosch. It'll be extra bases, and he goes to second with a leadoff double.
One of the things that Bosch has shown us in the few games that he's played in the major leagues is the fact that he doesn't wait around in that batter's box before he decides to swing. He has a fastball, breaking ball, that kind of creeps inside and kind of speeds his bat up, and that ball just fair down the right field line. Just fair. He's a big boy, but it looks like he got a little speed.
Yeah, he can rumble a little bit. It's going to be it for Baker, it appears. They've had Burnett warming up. And Ron Gardenhire made the signal as soon as he walked out. So Burnett will be summoned. Alex Burnett coming in. Another pitching change here at Comerica Park. We'll be back. And here's his line. He went 4+ innings, 5 runs. He is still responsible for the runner at second base. He walked 3 in this game.
Well, Baker knew coming in that he had success against the Tigers team as a whole, but there's a few guys in this lineup that present problems for him. And those guys kind of stepped up in a big way today, and Maglio being one of those guys. And he usually doesn't walk people, but the Tigers were patient as they have been all season long.
So he'll give way to Alex Burnett.
Well, the Twins have one of the better bullpens in the major leagues, and Burnett has been a major contributor to that. 10 strikeouts against 3 walks in just 5 games this year. So apparently the young man's got a really nice arm or really nice strikeout pitch.
Here's Brandon Inge with the tying run at second base. And he takes strike 1. 92-mile-an-hour fastball there from Burnett.
With some movement. A little downward action with that fastball. And Brandon's got a job to do, which he'll be trying to do. He'll be trying to at least score Bosch from second, or at least get him to third.
Bouncer toward the shortstop. Thought about going to third. Instead, they get the out.
That's a good read by Bosch. Usually, as a rule of thumb, if the ball is hit directly at you or to your left, you can come to third base. But if it's hit to your right, you have to stay on second base. That ball hit right at him, and he didn't hesitate, and that's the only reason why he was able to get to third. Hardy, the shortstop, initially came up and thought about coming to third base, but thought better of it.
Here comes Rayburn. Ryan had a walk and a run scored in the 4th. Trying to deliver the game-tying run here. The Tigers at 1 point trailed 6-1. Burnett is out of Huntington Beach. He went to high school at Ocean View High School in Huntington Beach. Was born in Anaheim. The 0-1. Inside. Buzzed his chin. 1-1.
Minnesota not going to make it easy on Rayburn. They're playing the infield in as we get a look at this little chin music. And Bosch, even though he runs okay, it would be risky to come on contact on something that's hit on the ground.
One and 2.
It's got a pretty firm fastball.
Just
nice tight slider. That slider, 87 right there. Nice depth.
Split time between A-ball and Double-A last year. Ball inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Ryan. Twins had a 3-run 4th. The Tigers answered with a 4-run 4th inning. And now, after the leadoff double by Bosch, trying to get that tying run home. Infield halfway for the Twins. And it's fouled back. Rayburn has driven in 4 so far this year. 3 came on 1 swing of the bat on Monday in Texas for the bases loaded. He doubled in 3 early in that game. Alex Avila waiting his turn on deck. Swing and a miss. Rayburn is out of there. Tipped it actually into the glove. 2 gone. Well, the Twins through the years have really had a history of plucking guys out of their bullpen that could throw mid-90s, and some really good arms that come out of their pen.
And usually the guys are durable.
Yes.
Because it's usually a 3 or 4 year stretch where they've got a guy like Guerrier, and that goes out there for 75 games a year. Used to be Rincon.
Avila now will try and get this run in with 2 outs with the infield back. Two and 0. Alex with a walk and a strikeout in this game. Brendan Bosch led it off with a double, moved to third base and a ground ball by Inge. He's still standing there. 2-0 is hammered foul out of play. Now it just looks like he needs that one big hit to get it rolling offensively. We saw him enter the big leagues last year with a bang offensively. Hit some home runs early. Really showed a promising bat. He's battling Burnett here with the tying run at third. Ground ball to short. Right at J.J. Hardy. And that is that for Detroit. Leadoff double. He is left at third base. 5 in the books. Twins still lead by 1.
The Detroit Tigers at tigers.com. Browse the largest selection of authentic Tigers merchandise, including clubhouse caps and t-shirts, jersey, sweatshirts, and a whole lot more. Get your Tigers gear straight from the source at tigers.com shop.
Looks like an 84 jersey right there.
Old school.
It's the one you used to wear.
Yeah, exactly.
On our way to the 6th, with the Tigers down by a run. Ooh, we got a little ice cream sandwich here going too. Soft liner over the head of the second baseman Rayburn, and that is going to shoot the gap all the way to the warning track. Hardy is on his way to second and will hold there with a leadoff double.
Well, you said it last half inning. Tigers pitching have had a tough time of retiring the leadoff hitter the last 5 innings.
5 of the 6. They've got the leadoff man on. Third double of the year for Hardy. So we'll see if the Twins can get this run in. Luke Hughes will step in. He's 1 for 2, homered in his first big league at bat back in the 3rd. That is 12 hits for Minnesota in this game. Ground ball right at Brandon Inge, who knocks it down. A bullet, and Inge throws him out.
Just stays in front of it. Helps the heel of the glove, but he makes sure that he keeps it in front, looks the runner back, and still plenty of arm strength to get Hughes.
Top of the order now. Denard Span. With 2 outs, he's singled in a run in the 4th inning. Span in last night's ball game was ejected by the home plate umpire for arguing a 3rd strike, and I thought he made a classy move at the end of the game. He, along with Ron Gardenhire, went to the umpire's room, and Denard said, "I wanted to apologize." He said, I thought about it. I overreacted. I may have disagreed with the call, but so he went out there and apologized.
Good for him. Classy kid.
Paul Emmel last night, who was calling balls and strikes. So I think it's stuff like that. I mean, we saw him react and throw his bat, but that's not the whole story. He felt that he was in the wrong and apologized to Emmel, with the help of his skipper, who accompanied him to the umpire's room. 1 ball, 1 strike. Span hits a chopper slowly towards short. Santiago shoots him down. Runner advances, 2 gone. Right now we go to the studio, join Mickey York for an update of the Angels and Indians. Mick. All right, Mickey, thank you. And they are bunched up in the American League West. Oakland right now, at least, leading the way. Angels in Seattle.
Seattle's getting ready to get a whole lot better. They're getting ready to get Cliff Lee back in a couple of days.
That'll certainly make a big difference for their rotation. Hudson takes ball 1 outside. Orlando singled in a run in the 4th. Also had a base hit in the 1st and scored a run. Good night tonight for Hudson. Swing and a miss. 1-1. Hardy led off the inning with a double. He's standing at 3rd down with 2 outs. Good pitch. Fastball at 92 on the inside part of the plate. 1-2.
And Thomas has done nice work the last few times he's been out there. As a matter of fact, he got a spot start in Texas and kind of saved the team. He got off to a shaky start, but kind of righted the ship and ended up pitching 3 innings before Bonine pitched 3, and they didn't really tax the bullpen that day.
Swing and a miss, and Thomas strikes out Hudson. So the Twins strand a leadoff double.
It's time for the Coors Light Freeze Cam. We're going to take you back to the second inning. Delman Young trying to steal third. A perfect throw by Alex Avila, and all Brandon Inge had to do was catch it and apply the tag before Young got to the base. Coors Light Freeze Cam, always brought to you by your Frost Brewed Coors Light.
So we go to the bottom of the sixth inning now. The Tigers down by a run. 6-5 is our score. It'll be Santiago to lead it off, then Austin Jackson and Johnny Damon facing the right-hander Alex Burnett. Ball one outside to Santiago. Ramon, 2 more hits in this game tonight. And the average at a healthy 341. The 1-0 pitch. Again, a pretty good looking fastball there from Burnett at 94. He broke in back in 05 and has steadily climbed the ladder in the minor league system for Minnesota. Good pitch right at the knees. A strike with a fastball, 1-2.
Well, if you can throw strikes and you get some outs in the minor leagues, chances are you're going to be able to pitch for Gardenhire. But you have to be able to throw some strikes first. You don't get to the big leagues unless you're a strike thrower.
Popped him up. Left side of the infield. Hardy to shortstop. One gone.
And really, Mario, it's got to be the message that they're getting in the minor leagues and also in the big leagues. We talk about Rick Anderson a lot. He doesn't get as much credit as he deserves. But you would imagine that every single pitching coach out there would like to have his pitching staff do what the Twins do every year, and that's throw the fewest walks. So there must be something in the message, not just the players.
Well, you can ask Rick Knapp. Obviously, he was their minor league pitching guy for years and years with the Minnesota Twins before coming to Detroit as their pitching coach last year. And Burnett himself was over 3-1 in strikeout to walk ratio in the minor leagues.
When you watch Minnesota every year, they don't walk people, and I'm sure the other pitching coaches, they watch and they say, okay, and let's try to do this, let's try to do that. And of course, Rick Knapp was in that system, so he brought some of that with him from Minnesota. But obviously Anderson is an outstanding pitching coach.
Pat Neshek is the right-hander. Ron Mayhay is the left-hander.
Neshek is back.
He is indeed.
Missed all of last year.
With the oddest delivery in all of baseball.
He's nasty.
There he is.
Ask and you shall receive.
You talk about deception and upsetting timing. Look at that.
And he's got a little velocity going with that sink action.
That one just missed. Now, how does one come about a delivery like that?
Well, when you're not getting guys out consistently with the more conventional windup. You know, if you can't, and you don't have the stuff to pitch like this young man right here is pitching, Burnett, where you got the easy leg kick and, you know, you throw like 99.9% of the other pitchers.
It'll be a tough play for Hardy, no chance.
So therefore, you come up with something else which allows you to create some deception.
Well, in the meantime, give Jackson his second hit in this game.
Hardy could do nothing here, and he tries to rush the exchange and mishandles the baseball. But even if he would have been able to exchange it cleanly, they don't get Jackson.
Here comes Ron Gardenhire. Johnny Damon due up. They've got Mayhay ready to go. It appears that they need him. And they do. So Burnett gives up the baseball. And we'll take another timeout. Pitching change here at Comerica Park. We'll be back. is out of the ball game. In the meantime, our next April and the D Tigers telecast is tomorrow. Final game of the series against the Twins. Coverage begins just prior to the first pitch at 1 p.m. Tigers baseball presented by Bell Tire tomorrow afternoon on Fox Sports Detroit, and also in high def, stunning high def on Fox Sports Detroit. HD Willis and Pavano hookup. D-Train missed his last start, had to come on in relief the very next day. Looks like he's feeling a whole lot better.
Down there chopping it up with Doug Teeter, one of the Tigers trainers.
Now Johnny Damon facing Ron Mayhay.
Good move here by Gardenhire to bring Mayhay in, the left-hander. A couple of reasons. He's tough on left-handers, and also it makes it a little bit more difficult for Jackson to steal second base against the left-handed Mayhay than he would have been able to do. He'd been an easier chance stealing against the right-hander. A little tougher to steal against left-handers, though.
Fouled away.
Mayhay also one of those acquisitions last year by Minnesota down the stretch that kind of vaulted them into the postseason. He hasn't given up a whole lot this year. He's pitching like he pitched a couple of years ago when he was wearing a Kansas City Royals uniform. He had a really good year for the Royals.
He was awfully good then. 0-2 is off the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Johnny Damon. Down the right field line, hooking, foul. Another bullet off the bat of Damon, who already has extended his hitting streak tonight. Johnny singled in the first inning. He also has an RBI in this game. And the hitting streak at 15 straight. He's been on base in 18 straight. Ron Mayhay has been with plenty of teams in the big leagues, including the Braves and the Royals, Rangers, Cubs, Marlins. It's a lengthy list. Ball high, 2-2. Began his career with the Boston Red Sox. In fact, you may not recall, but back in '95, he was the first replacement player that was called up to the major leagues with Boston at that time. Coming off that work stoppage. Shattered his bat. Look out. Boy, the bat, the barrel, I should say, going all the way out to right field.
Yeah, he sawed him off pretty good. That's called getting in the kitchen.
And having a sandwich.
Getting a cold beverage, too.
There's what's left of Johnny Damon's bat.
Tigers players walking around sporting those new robes that Johnny Damon purchased for his teammates. Have you seen them?
I did. They're really cool. They're white robes with the old English D on the front and their names and number on the back. They're really pretty common.
They are.
Runner goes on 2-2, lifted in the air. Long run, Span still going, and he'll get there and drop the ball. He dropped the baseball. Jackson coming to third. They're going to stop him there, and Damon, who never stopped running, is at second base. Span, it looked like, was going to make a great catch. And I think Gardenhire is going to argue that he had it long enough.
Gardenhire, with his argument, he may at least get the umpires to huddle to see if someone else saw something different. And really, that's what he's trying to do right now. He's trying to get them to huddle to see if someone may have saw something different. Span ran a country mile to get to this ball. I mean, a country mile.
I think that's a catch.
I do too.
Yeah, that's a catch.
I do too.
He dropped it on the exchange, and that's what Gardenhire's arguing. That's a catch. Boy, did he go a long way to get to this ball. Meanwhile, Damon hit that thing a ton, much farther than I thought.
Well, it looked like Spann was playing him in right center field, and of course that ball was slicing away from Spann in that left center field gap, and it looked like he had it long enough. We'll see. They're huddling, which is exactly what Ron Gardenhire wanted them to do.
So this will be a huge call either way.
If you're Jackson, you did all that you could do.
Doesn't look like Gardenhire's going to win this argument.
Take a look at Jackson. As a base runner here, you know that you can go as far as you can. You can even go all the way around the base. Jackson knows where the ball is now. He's going to creep around the base here. And then he thinks the ball's caught, so you have to retouch the base and start to head back to first, and then he's able to get to third base. He did all that he could do there. He did that perfectly, because had the ball been caught, he would have been able to get back safely.
He had a lot to filter through his brain there.
He did. I mean, he really had to think about what to do there. And then he had to go back and then get back to third base.
Well, Gardenhire's hot right now, and he's having it out with Gary Darling, and there he goes. Ron Gardenhire has been ejected from this game. And I think he's got a beef on this call, because it certainly looked like Spann had that ball long enough. He got them to huddle, and here's another look. The catch, 1, 2, 3 steps. So the Tigers will have runners at second and third, and Gardenhire will head to the clubhouse.
Well, you were telling the story earlier about Gardenhire and Spann had to go up to the umpire's room and apologize after the game last night. Well, Spann's going to have to take the skipper over there and apologize tonight.
Somehow I don't think it's going to work.
No?
No. No. Nice try, though. So Scott Olger now is coming out to the mound. And the Tigers get a break there. Runners at second and third. That is going to be just the Twins' third error of the season.
2 of those errors have come in the outfield.
So they're going to make another pitching change. And Denard Spann can't believe he's going to be called for the error. Another pitching change. We'll be back. Straight. Luke Hughes a home run in his first big league at bat for Minnesota. And Maglio Ordonez, a big night, double 3 for 3, 3 RBIs.
Well, they got the right guy coming to the dish, Mr. Maglio Ordonez.
And he will face Pat Neshek, who has come out of the bullpen.
5 games this year already for Neshek, and not many blemishes. Does not have an earned run average yet, and the opponents are hitting just a buck and some change against Pat. They are conceding the run in the infield. If Maglio hits a ground ball up the middle, Jackson will score on the ground.
Ball 1 to Ordonez. .305 right now for Maglio, back up over 300 with his 3 hits tonight. The 1-0 pitch is inside, and Maglio career against Neshek is 0 for 9. 3 of those resulting in a strikeout. There you have it. But he's ahead here 2-0. Way inside 3-0.
It would be risky to do so, and I don't know if Neshek is doing this or not. But he's got the base open, and you got Cabrera in the on-deck circle. Could possibly be playing for a double play. Maglio's got 3 hits already. They may feel like it's their best chance of getting out of the inning without giving up a run, but boy, oh boy.
That's a big roll of the dice.
I mean, you know, some teams think like that. Because he wasn't close to Maglio on 4 pitches.
It sure looked like he just walked him on purpose.
But now they set up the double play. And with the sinker ball that Neshek has, if he does locate it, he might be able to get Cabby to hit something on the ground. But there's not been many this year that have been able to do it.
Cabrera has seen Neshek once, and it left the building.
That's why baseball is this, for me, the greatest game on earth, really. I mean, with all the stuff that just goes on and the matchups and rhymes and reasons as to who you pitch to and who you don't pitch to, those types of things.
Well, Cabrera has hit into a double play already in this game. That was back in the first. That was against Baker.
And Cabrera loves that first pitch, too.
And he takes up high 1-0.
He's not going to get a ground ball up there.
Tigers 3 for 12 with men in scoring position tonight. 0 for 3 for Cabrera. Inside 2-0. 6 straight balls that he's thrown. You've got Jackson at third. You've got Damon down at second base. And you've got Ordonez at first. He's swinging, bouncing ball, foul. Just outside of the bag. He had a rip on 2-0 and almost knocked one down that line. That might have scored 3. Would have scored 2 for sure.
Well, 2 balls, no strikes. You want your big fella turning and burning, which is exactly what he did there.
Oh, he hit him. Cabrera is hit by the pitch, and the game is tied. So if indeed Neshek was looking for the double play by walking Ordonez, it didn't work out. Six ball game. Scott Ulger coming out again. Give Cabrera his 25th RBI of the season. He's going to take the baseball, and they'll make another pitching change. Not a good effort tonight for Neshek. We'll be back. The Tigers have tied it at 6, only one out, and Jesse Crane is on.
And Jesse Crane off to a slow start this year. 7+ earned run average in just over 7 innings. And the league only hitting .267 against Crane.
He will face Brennan Bosch. Bosch doubled in his last at bat. Chance to give the Tigers the lead now.
Crane has inherited 3 runners so far this year, none of which have come around to score. He's got 3 more out there that he's inherited. And Bosch, if you don't know by now, he likes to swing at the first pitch as well, if it's close enough. And he's got a lot of pop in that bat.
Bosch swings and drives one to right field. That ball is off the wall. Damon scores. Here comes Ordonez to the plate. He will score. Bosch has another double, and the Tigers take the lead.
That was an absolute missile. Goodness gracious.
That is one of the hardest hit balls we've seen in a while this year.
You got to be kidding me.
He almost took the ball down.
First pitch swinging. Ball was down, and he just hit an absolute seed off that gate. Had he been the only one running there, he might have just got a single there as hard as that ball was hit. He's fired up, too.
He is certainly fired up. His second double of the night. The Tigers have an 8-6 lead, and they're still going here.
Tigers fans going to like him. It's my homeboy, Santa Monica.
You're taking credit now. You got a new Tiger. That ball's going to get down. That's going to score 2 more. Brandon Inge motoring to second base. He's in with a double.
How about the comeback today by the Tigers after falling behind by 5?
6-1 was the score at one point. It's now 10-6 Detroit.
And what we're seeing that as good as Minnesota has been playing this year, if they make an error and they start to walk Tigers as they have done today, the Tigers have the kind of team that can make you pay. That's a fastball that was up around the belt buckle, and Brandon Inge didn't miss it.
And here is Ryan Rayburn. 9 unanswered runs by the Tigers, 4 in the 4th and a 5-run 6th. 10 runs on 12 Detroit hits in this game. Rayburn has a walk and a run scored. Driven down the left field line. That ball is off the wall. Get another run in. Inge will score, and Rayburn has a double. 3 straight 2-base hits. To 6 Detroit. Rayburn with his 4th double of the year.
The Tigers really have been aggressive all game long. They were aggressive against Baker at the beginning of the game because Minnesota throws so many strikes. And they know Crane from the past, the fact that he throws lots of strikes. Has Crane thrown 3 pitches and given up 3 doubles?
I think he has. Hasn't he?
Because Bosch swung at the first pitch, Inge swung at the first pitch, and I believe Rayburn did as well. Yeah, 3 pitches. 3 seeds.
Well, the Tigers have 6 doubles in this game alone and now have 62 to lead the American League. A double factory this year. Alex Avila, let's see if he can join the party. He's the 9th man to bat in the inning. This has turned into a 6-run 6th. Now the Tigers have 13 hits. Art Span must be wondering. The 2-0. High fly ball, center field, hit well. Span will get back for this one, though. Runner will tag and move up. Rayburn comes to third. Wrong part of the ballpark for Avila. He crushed that ball. So it's 2 outs, and here is Santiago to bat for the second time. Santiago popped up to start the inning. One and 0 on Ramon, who has 2 hits tonight. Tigers have not led until this 6-run 6th. Bouncing ball foul. To the second baseman on 1 hop. Hudson will throw out Santiago to end the inning. Big inning it is, though. 6 runs for the Tigers. And a ball dropped by Denard Spain. Big play in the inning. Tigers have as we go to the 7th inning, and it's time now for the Home Depot doing more on defense, and we have loved watching Austin Jackson play this year.
Well, true center fielders, they take away base hits, which he does here. Hudson trying to get a little chink single. Jackson wasn't having any of that. Great concentration, makes a really nice grab. And then Kadire tries to play long ball, hits one very deep to the outfield. He's also able to run that one down at the base of the 420 sign, so he's got a lot of range.
So the Tigers have themselves a lead, 11-6. We have a new left fielder now for the Tigers. Don Kelly has checked in for Brennan Bosch. New pitcher as well, Phil Koch, facing Joe Mauer, Jim Thome, Michael Kadire here in the 7th.
Koch has done a very nice job in the bullpen. Usually gets the ball late for Jim. A spot that Bobby C had the last couple of years. 3-0 record with a very good earned run average, 1.64. Fastball, slider, change.
Tip of the cap tonight to Brad Thomas, 2 1/3 scoreless.
Very nice.
Tigers were trailing, and he kind of shut the door on them. Keying the comeback. 2-0 pitch. High fly ball left field. Kelly will be tested immediately. One gone. Mauer is now 1 for 9 in the series. They have kept him quiet. Jim Thome has not been quiet tonight. A 2-run homer and a single, 2 for 3.
Thome, nice pickup for Minnesota. Veteran left-handed bat. Nice clubhouse presence.
Strike 1 from Koch. Now the 0-1. We've had 25 hits in this game. The Tigers have had 13 of those. The bats woke up a little bit late, but better late than never. That's 6-run sixth, and they're up 11-6. Breaking ball that's in for a strike on the inside corner.
Good pitch. Started that ball right at Thome. Thome gave up on it, buckled his knees, and caught the inside corner. Sometimes you throw this pitch by design just to freeze the hitter, as Koch did.
Swing and a miss, and Thome is out of there. 2 gone. First strikeout for Koch.
Back-to-back breaking balls, real good ones. That time he wanted it away to Avila. He had to reach back for that one, and Koch might have got away with one. Thome usually doesn't miss those.
Here's Michael Kadire. One for 3 for Kadire, a double in the 4th inning. But he sent Jackson back almost to the wall in the 5th inning with a deep fly ball. One and one. Phil Koch pitched for the Yankees last year.
That World Series ring that he and Johnny Damon got on the last road trip. Gorgeous.
Shiny and sparkly, that's for sure. Again, a swing and a miss, 1 and 2.
He's got the curveball going today, the slider, excuse me. He's also got that nice fading changeup that he threw right there to Kadire. That's what the changeup is designed to do. If you can get a swing and miss, that's a bonus. But really what you're trying to do with a changeup is just disrupt the hitter's timing.
You know, we also understand that Phil Koch is moonlighting on the side these days.
What's he doing?
He is going to host the next edition of Tigers Weekly.
Wow.
He was out shooting some of the parts of that show today. Phil, by his own admission, loves to talk. And so it was a perfect marriage. Hosting the show, getting some insights into pitching. The 1-2. Slap foul.
So he's the new Todd Jones of the bunch.
There you go. That's a good way to put it. Apparently Ryan Field in the next edition of Tigers Weekly is going to go to the bullpen. Phil Koch coming in, and he will host the show. That's kind of a sneak peek. The 1-2. Swing and a miss. Boy, what an inning for Koch. 2 strikeouts in a 1-2-3 inning for Phil.
couple upcoming April in the D live events Thursday and Friday. Tigers, Minnesota and Los Angeles, respectively. On Friday, tune in to Tigers Live at 6:30 for portions of a pregame concert by the Victorious Secrets, the grand prize winning band of our April in the D song contest.
I've already used the joke once. I'm not going to use it again. That's line to right field and caught.
Well, you notice how I had to emphasize Victorious Secrets.
You cut me off at the pass. Jackson is out one away. That'll bring up Johnny Damon.
Because I'm sure there's probably some more ears in our listening audience out there that perked up a little bit.
Oh, no question. Here's Damon. He's been on base a couple of times. It was his fly ball that really turned out to be the huge play in that 6th inning.
He's been a nice table setter. Nice table setter. If Jackson's not getting on, Damon's getting on. It's nice to have a couple of leadoff hitters at the top of your lineup.
Well, and that's one of the big reasons why Cabrera has 25 RBIs and Maglio has 17. The 0-1. Twins have had to go through their bullpen tonight. Mayhay, Burnett, Neshek, Crane. Gardenhire's been ejected. The Twins skipper thrown out for arguing that drop ball out there in center field off the bat of Damon. Strike called, and he is out of there. Crane gets a strikeout, 2 away. That'll bring up Ordonez. Big night for Maglio. On base 4 times tonight. 3 RBIs. Crane's 1-0 pitch. Driven left field. On the run is Young, spreading out and making the play. Nice catch by Delvin Young. And the Tigers will go 1-2-3. Takes another hit away from Ordonez. Price period. Bell Tire. Now the moon is not moving. We are. That's a beautiful shot. Speaking of outstanding shots, look at that.
Full.
11-6, the Tigers lead. The baseball has looked like a moon to many of the Tigers hitters tonight. They scored 6 runs in the 6th. They have 13 hits. Phil Koch is back out there for his 2nd inning of work.
He was real good in the 7th, that's for sure.
It's interesting because Leland has said on several occasions that if he had his druthers, he would rather use Phil Koch for 1 inning and that's it. But he's got him out there for a 2nd inning of work now, facing Kubel, Young, and Hardy. A 1-2-3 7th. It was a rather snappy 7th. A couple of strikeouts. The 1-1 pitch. 2-1 on Jason Kubel, who has 2 hits tonight, plus an RBI. And if the Tigers are able to close this one out, they pulled within 2.5 of first place Minnesota in the early goings. Swing and a miss. Kubel earlier this season in the month of April had a stretch of 0 for 16. That's why his average has been very low here at the start of the year. Now the 2-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Avila going down to block that one. Big nights tonight for several Tigers. Inge has 2 hits, 3 RBIs. Maglio's been on base 4 times, 3 RBIs. That Brandon home run came in the 4th inning. It started the comeback. Ordonez singled in 2 in the 4th. Driven to right field, and that's down, a base hit for Jason Kubel.
That's a nice 2-stroke approach, 2-strike approach. Lefty on lefty. Koch's got some good stuff today. 94. Kubel just turns it around. He can hit a fastball.
So that means both teams now with 13 hits. Here's Delvin Young. Takes the first pitch for a strike. Seemed like Delvin always used to swing at the first pitch.
He's kind of changed a little bit. I've noticed that too. Not just going up there swinging at everything that he sees.
Cabrera playing behind the runner with an 11-6 spread. Bouncing ball hit to the right side. Rayburn will get it. Cabrera heads back to the bag for the out. That was one of those tweeners. Cabrera wasn't quite sure where to go.
He and Rayburn are discussing that. I think they both made the wise decision. It looked like Rayburn may have had time to go to second and get an out there with Kubel running. Kubel also hesitated when the ball was hit, but I think what you want to do is take the out. Let's see where he is when the ball's in Rayburn's glove. He probably could have gotten the out, but you know what? Take the sure out.
Here's J.J. Hardy.
Hardy has had a nice series. He's hit the ball hard in this series. 3 doubles in the series by J.J. Hardy. So he is swinging the bat, at least in this series, the way that Minnesota thought that he would when they acquired him from Milwaukee.
He's got some pop in his bat with 3 home runs this year.
He was an all-star back in 2007 for Milwaukee.
1-1. Tigers and Twins wrap it up tomorrow before the Angels come a-calling. We were talking last night about how this stretch for the Tigers just heating up. No off days in 20 straight, and then you got the Yankees and the Red Sox on the horizon. High fly ball left field and hit well. Kelly going back to the track in front of the wall. 2 outs. That'll bring up Hughes. Luke Hughes homered in his first at bat, his first big league at bat. 1 for 3 tonight in his major league debut. Played for Team Australia in 06 and 09 in the World Baseball Classic. Strike one. Out of Perth, Australia, 25 years old and 7 seasons of minor league baseball under his belt. And it's all been worth it because of tonight. His big league debut. Swing and a miss. He chased one there. Well, you're right. Coke has got some nasty stuff tonight.
He does. Some of the best stuff we've seen him with this year. Throwing hard, 94 with a couple of the fastballs, a slider with good depth. And he's thrown a couple of really good changeups, too. Usually late inning relievers don't feature 3 pitches, or at least they won't throw 3 pitches. But Coke, no problem with that, which is one of the reasons why the Tigers entertained the thought of putting him in the rotation when they acquired him from the Yankees.
Swing and a miss, and Coke strikes out Hughes. His 3rd strikeout tonight. They will strand a runner, and we will go to the bottom of the 8th. McDonald's player of the game voting is presented by the Deluxe Angus 3rd Pounder. Here's how the voting is going so far. Stunning, but Brandon Inge has 51% of the vote, followed by Ordonez and then Austin Jackson. You can see the final results at the end of the game. Check out the text response for special offers from McDonald's as well. Meanwhile, here come the Tigers now in the bottom of the 8th inning. It'll be Cabrera, Kelly, and then Inge. Cabrera picked up an RBI, his 25th, when he was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded in the 6th. 1-1. In the air to center field and hit a ton. Span going back, but a lot of room out there, and he runs it down. bring up Don Kelly. He'll get his first at bat in this one after coming on as a defensive replacement. He replaced Brendan Bosch, who had 2 hits, 2 RBIs, a pair of doubles. Don batting .211. And first home run, first big league home run on the last road trip in Anaheim against the Angels. The 1-0. Shallow center. Span will run this one down as well. 2 outs. Now that's going to leave it up to Brandon Inge. This one was headed like the Twins might make it 2 in a row. It was 6-1. Tigers weren't doing a whole lot. The key, though, I think, Rod, was after they gave up 3 in the 4th to fall behind 6-1, they really came back quite quickly.
Yep, they sure did. And they scored against a guy that they really haven't, as a team, had much success against, and that's Baker. Baker had an off night. The Twins really have had an off night. And this is not how they've gotten off to one of their better starts in recent memory.
Of course, they capped it off with a 6-run 6 to build a big lead. The 0-1 from Crane. Fouled straight back. 0-2 on Brandon Inge.
We've watched this Tigers offense, though, first 3 weeks of the season, come back in just about every game they've trailed. Not many games that they've fallen behind that they didn't at least make some kind of charge during the course of the game, which means they've got a lot of confidence down there. You don't want to fall behind, but when they do fall behind, they're confident they can come back. Unless Liriano's pitching.
Yeah, that'll kill your confidence, that's for sure. He was dynamite last night. 1-2 on Brandon. Valverde warming up. And the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Inge out in front. And 1-2-3 go the Tigers. 9th inning on tap. 11-6. That is true.
With Kendrick, who's one of the hotter hitters in the American League, I tell you.
Well, here the Tigers lead at 11-6 as we go to the ninth inning, and Jose Valverde will try and close this one down. And Valverde, after Phil Koch did terrific work tonight, will try and get the final 3 outs.
Well, apparently Jim didn't want to use Ryan Perry in the game. He used him yesterday, and Zamaya, and wanted to give him a couple of days off, which means that he's going to be able to do that. So it's all about getting your bullpen back in order. And when you're trying to do that, every now and then your closer has to go out there for you in the ninth inning, even though there's a 5-run lead. Valverde also appears to me, Mario, one of those guys that likes to throw every other day, because when he doesn't get in the game, we'll watch him up in like the 7th inning in the bullpen throwing, getting loose.
Yeah, I think you're right. And he's getting an opportunity to pitch here tonight. This will be his 11th appearance.
He's been as good as advertised in a Tigers uniform. 1 blemish, 1 blown save, which was a result of a loss in Kansas City. But other than that, he's been really good.
Well, the Tigers made 2 key acquisitions, I think, down the stretch in the offseason. One being Johnny Damon, of course, for the offense, and the other being this guy right here, Jose Valverde, who is the hammer now at the back end of the bullpen.
And they acquired them both kind of late. Valverde right before Tiger Fest. And then, of course, Damon in spring training.
Yeah.
Valverde is a big fella. 97 with his fastball. And he's got that forkball that's just a tremendous pitch for him. And he, like so many guys that throw the forkball, you can see the grip right now in his hand. He could make that pitch dance a couple different ways. Down and away from the left-handers, or it acts like a slider on occasion to right-handers.
2-2 on Denard Span. Leadoff man here, followed by Hudson and then Mauer in the ninth. Now the 2-2. Straighten him up. .26 hits between the 2 teams tonight. The difference is the Tigers have made much better use of theirs. They have 11 runs. Span 1 for 4, singled in a run in the 4th inning. And he lost him, ball 4. Leadoff walk for Minnesota here in the ninth.
The Comcast is telling us that Valverde has touched 97 and has gone as low as 87 with that forkball that he features, and a few pitches in between as well.
Here's Orlando Hudson. 2 hits tonight for Hudson. Ball outside, 1-0.
Orlando knows Valverde very well. They were teammates in Arizona. And then, of course, when Hudson moved on to Los Angeles, he also saw Valverde in a Houston Astros uniform.
Way inside, 2 balls, no strikes.
Well, let's just hope there's one of those situations where your closer doesn't struggle because it's not a save situation.
Well, you're right, but the good news is he has a 5-run lead, but we've often talked about how that happens.
Because if you're Jim, you would love for him to have a clean inning, about 15 pitches, which means you would have no problem using him tomorrow if you needed him.
There's a strike call, 2-1. Five years in Arizona, a couple of seasons in Houston for Valverde. Span the runner at first base, nobody out. We're in the ninth, 11-6. Just missed again, and the count goes to 3-1. Three-one pitch. Lifted in the air toward left. Don Kelly coming on, and there's your first out of the inning. One gone. Well, here's Joe Mauer. 1 for 9 in the series for Mauer. Had a single back in the third here tonight. He's gone 1 for 9, and he's batting .351. He came into the series batting .382. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Fouled off. Make it 0-2 on Mauer. The Twins without one of their big bats tonight. Justin Morneau with that bad back. You wonder if he will play tomorrow. It is a day game here, or if they'll give him an extra day.
Well, if he was ever going to give him a day off, it would be against the left-handed Dontrelle, but left-handers don't really bother Mauer and Morneau as far as whether you want to play him or not, but it might not be a bad idea to give him one more day if the back is ailing.
Whoa, look at that play by Valverde.
Slow down, Papa Grande. Don't pull no muscles now.
Screaming line drive. Mauer hits into a double play. And that is that. The Tigers get a win here in game 2. 11-6. The final score. Watch this play.
Look at him sprint off the mound. Slow down, Papa Grande.
That was a nice play. Nice win tonight for the ball club as they really get the hit shoes on with 13 hits. 11-6, going to get a win here tonight.
Well, they'll take it. Wasn't a clean game by Minnesota, and no one expected Minnesota to play as good as they've been playing the entire month of April. Now the Tigers have a chance of coming back.